Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tera Vanachari Yamuna Tera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamuna Tera Vanachari Yamuna Tera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe Jaya Radha Gopinatha Radha Gopinatha Shri Radhe Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Shri Radhe Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada I don't feel... Oh, it's already 18. What's in the fan? Oh, the fan. No, that's the fan. Hold on. Mode. Oh, it's still doesn't feel like it's working, isn't it?
mood पे जाइए.
Hold on.
Mood.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, it's in 24. 24 is like summertime. You have to go at least, let's see, 20. I'll keep it. Namaom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashnaya Bhutale Shrimati Gopal Krishna Goswami Tamini Prabhupada Sasayitam Pakasha Bhativacha Charangirvashara Vitpati Namaha Namaom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Se Juta Padakamalang Shri Gurung Vaisnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Visabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvya evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare. It's about the Gita is here. Can you please? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is. Translation and purport by ISKCON founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Chapter 2, Contents of the Gita summarized. Text number 25. Avyaktoyam acintyoyam avikāryo ucyate tasmād evaṁ viditvainaṁ nānuśocitum arhasi avyaktoyam acintyoyam avikāryo ucyate tasmād evaṁ viditvainaṁ nānuśocitum arhasi avyaktoyam acintyoyam avikāryo ucyate tasmād evaṁ viditvainaṁ nānuśocitum arhasi. Somebody else.
avyaktaḥ acintyaḥ avikāryaḥ ucyate tasmād evam viditvainaṁ nānuśocitum arhasi.
avyakto ऽyamacintyo avikāryo ucyate tasmād evam viditvainaṁ nānuśocitum arhasi.
Rishabh, like to say? Avyakto āyamacintyo avikāryo ucyate tasmād evaṁ viditvainaṁ anuśocitum arhasi. Word for word meaning: avyaktaḥ, invisible; ayam, this soul; acintyaḥ, inconceivable; ayam, this soul; avikāryaḥ, unchangeable; ayam, this soul; ucyate, is said; tasmāt, therefore; evam, like this; viditvā, knowing it well; enam, this soul; na, do not; anuśocitum, lament, to lament; arhasi, you deserve. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Everybody please repeat. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. Purport. As described previously, the magnitude of the soul is so small for our material calculation that he cannot be seen even by the most powerful microscope. Therefore, he is invisible. As far as the soul's existence is concerned, no one can establish his existence experimentally beyond the proof of Shruti or Vedic wisdom. We have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding the existence of the soul. Although it is a fact by perception, there are many things we have to accept solely on grounds of superior authority. No one can deny the existence of his father based upon the authority of his mother. There is no source of understanding the identity of the father except by the authority of the mother. Similarly, there is no source of understanding the soul except by studying the Vedas. In other words, the soul is inconceivable by human experimental knowledge. The soul is consciousness and conscious. That also is the statement of the Vedas. And we have to accept that. Unlike the bodily changes, there is no change in the soul. as eternally unchangeable, the soul remains atomic in comparison to the infinite Supreme Soul. The Supreme Soul is infinite, and the atomic soul is infinitesimal. Therefore, the infinitesimal soul, being unchangeable, can never become equal to the infinite soul or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This concept is repeated in the Vedas in different ways just to confirm the stability of the conception of the soul. Repetition of something is necessary in order that we understand the matter thoroughly without error. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Avyakto acintyo avikāryo ucyate. Tasmād evaṁ viditvainaṁ nānuśocitum arhasi. There's a Brajabasi there. Again, it is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. So Lord Krishna continues to teach Arjuna the nature of the soul. As described previously, the soul is so small, we cannot calculate materially how the soul is. But spiritually, we can just accept based from the Vedas. And it says previously that the soul is so small that no powerful, even the most powerful, if there is, most powerful microscope. Sometimes we've seen in science or in medical findings, they'll use a microscope and you can see the microbes moving, or the germs, or the virus, very, very small. But with our naked eye, we cannot see. But actually, microbes or germs and viruses are in the air. When we breathe in something and someone is sick, when he coughs, all the microbes, all the viruses, all the germs, and if you pass that way, you'll be able to contact that. And then your immune system will get weakened and weakened and weakened, and you'll get sick as well. But we don't see. And I'm sure there are some germs here because I touched something, but I'm not able to see. But some very powerful microscope can see those different entities. However, the soul is so small that there's no powerful microscope will be able to detect what is the soul. However, we can tell that there is a soul. And Prabhupada says the symptom of the soul is consciousness. 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 What is consciousness? It's like something, again, that we cannot touch, but we can feel. It's like the thief. The thief is always thinking of how to rob a bank or how to steal. That is his consciousness. 24 hours, the whole day, he's thinking of how to get somebody's property. So a Krishna conscious person is always thinking of Krishna. That is the nature of the soul. To think of Krishna, that is the nature of the soul. And as Prabhupada would say, the nature of sugar is sweet. Or the water is wet. Sometimes water becomes solid as well when it becomes ice. But that is the nature. The natural tendency of the salt is salty. If the salt is sweet, then it is not salt. It must be sugar. That is a different constitutional now. So, the nature of the soul is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. And it is the nature of the soul to serve Krishna, to serve the Supreme. So we have to understand, this is the first teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. What is the soul? What is jiva? What is the living entity? First, we have to understand who we are. Then we can understand God. Because we are small particle, parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So like Prabhupada says, if you want to find out the constitution of the whole entire ocean, you don't have to take the whole ocean and bring it to the laboratory. You can just take a small drop, and find out. Some scientists, they try to find out the nature of a leaf. They will study the leaf for the whole lifetime. What is the nature of the leaf? So they're wasting their time. Our nature is that we are Krishna conscious, but somehow we have forgotten Krishna. So the Bhagavad Gita teaches us, as even from the previous verse, it says here, previous verses, the soul cannot be cut into pieces by any weapon because it is spiritual. There's no weapon can touch it. We cannot touch, but we can perceive that there is a soul. It cannot be burned by fire. That's why he says that the soul, there are living entities in water, land, and fire, are in the air. Because in fire, the soul can exist. Because the soul cannot be burned by fire. As Prabhupada says, even in the sun planet, where the temperature is hundreds and thousands of degrees Celsius. But there are living entities who live there. They have body that will be able to exist there. Material body, of course, because there is a sarva. He is present everywhere. He is present. The soul is present everywhere. Sarvagata. Sarvagata means he is present everywhere. The soul. In all the three worlds. He cannot be burned by fire. He cannot be moistened by water. Yes, there are living entities who live in the water, having the body that will be able to exist in the water, like fish. There are 8,400,000 species of life. So in any species able to exist, even in fire, in water, in land, and in the air. Not withered by the wind, is unbreakable, insoluble, cannot be dried or burned, everlasting, present everywhere. There's the word, present everywhere. Sarvagata. All-pervading. Even the yogis who perfected mystic yoga, they can go to any universe they wish to. That is one of their perfection. They can be small than smaller. They can be lighter than cotton. They can choose to any place they wish to go. And they can choose also the time they can leave their body. But because it's still in the material world, therefore they have to again change their form. Immovable, unchangeable, and eternally the same. So there is no need to grieve for the body because the body is eternal. And we cannot do any experiment here. It's beyond. To establish the existence of the soul is beyond the experimentally existence. You cannot experimentally prove. It's like Prabhupada would go to a university and he would say, is there any department here that teaches about the science of the soul? There's no. The most you can get is psychology. What is psychology? Study of the mind. They can study the mind, but still the mind we cannot perceive. Can you hold your mind? Do you know where your mind is? No, it's somewhere there. Is your mind in your hand? Or in your nose? Or in your ears? In your face? No. Consciousness is like this. Consciousness is all pervading within the entire body. The soul within the body is engaged within this body, and unfortunately, the materialistic instinct of a materially inclined person is to always think for oneself. I was hearing the other day, to think for oneself is Maya, and to think of Krishna, that is Krishna consciousness. To think for oneself, that means materialistic consciousness. That is not a real consciousness. And therefore, this is how the whole society is brainwashing the people to take care of yourself. There's so many advertisements, so many things, how you can improve yourself, body, physically, health-wise. But no one will say, oh, this is how you should take care of the soul. Is there any advertisement in Amazon or in television? Or no, you will not find, please take care of yourself. Please take care of your soul. Understand the soul. Who am I? What is my purpose in this life? Is there advertisement like that? No. So Prabhupada gave an example. It's like a bird in the cage. One may polish the cage, which could be made of gold, let's say. Sometimes the gold may tarnish, so you have to use like a polishing cream. But you forgot to feed the bird. So you're polishing, oh, I like to have a very nice cage for my bird. But then you forgot to feed the bird. So what is the use of polishing the cage, but then forgetting to feed the bird? What's going to happen? Then your cage is useless. Why? Because the bird will die. If you have a bird and you forget to feed the bird, forget it. There's no use of having a very nice cage. So similarly, the soul is more important than this body. Of course, Prabhupada says, we have to make the best out of the bad bargain. Whatever we have right now, this constitutes the resultant reaction from our previous life. Whatever we're facing, whatever things that comes to us is because of our karma. It's because of what we did and what happened in the past, how we react. Karma means how you react to situation that you are facing. If you're not going to be affected, means if you understand the nature of the transcendental matter based from the scriptures, especially from the Vedas, then you will not get affected. And you will not react. Karma means how we react according to the modes of nature. If we react beyond the modes of material nature, there is no karma. So if we react in a mode of passion, or mode of goodness, or mode of ignorance, the resultant action is karma, also equal to how we react. But if we react based from the knowledge that we get from the scriptures, then there is no more karma. That's why it says here that Shruti, or the Vedic wisdom, we have to accept this truth because there is no other source of understanding the existence of the soul. Although it is a fact by perception. We can perceive that the soul is there. It's like whatever I'm thinking of always of the time, that is the soul who is always thinking all the time. Does it make sense to you now? Whatever am I thinking all the time? Who is that thinking all the time? Who's that always making plan all the time? Who is that always wanting to be properly situated all the time? Who is that who's always wanting to be happy all the time? Who is that? The soul. Is the soul. Now, the mind will make plan how to do it. But it is the soul who wants to be happy. Correct or not? When you came here, who told you to come here? Who decided for you to come here? It is the soul. Now the mind will make arrangements for you to come here. How did you come here? The mind makes those plans. But it is the soul who wanted you to come here. As Prabhupada says to his students, you can go to a nightclub or you can come here. But you decided to come here. It is the soul who did that. So, if the soul is always making plans how to be Krishna conscious, that is the original consciousness. That is the real state of consciousness. That we can perceive. That we can perceive. But ultimately, the Vedic wisdom or the Vedas teaches us about the nature of the soul, to give us more clear understanding, because they are considered to be the superior authority. No one can deny the existence of the Father. So whom do we ask? Who is our Father? Our mother, naturally, right? You don't go out in the street, hey, do you know who is my father? I have not seen my father before, but have you seen my father? And the people say, you guy crazy? How do I know who is your father? I only met you now. I don't even know you, and you're asking me who is your father? How can I tell who is your father? And who do you ask? The mother. So the Vedas is compared to the mother. To find out who is the father. To find out who is Krishna. The whole purpose of the Vedas is to give us knowledge about the Supreme Absolute Truth. How to approach Him. How to give us direction to proceed, to go and meet the Father. Because that is the nature of the soul. To reconnect. We have forgotten. We have lost. We have broken our relationship. It is always there, but it just needs to be a little bit of repaired. It's like a person who's having what do you call this? Amnesia? Is that the disease?
Yes.
Amnesia?
Yes.
When you have forgotten. Sometimes a person who's having amnesia, he forgets his name. You forget where does he live. He forgot his parents. But there is a cure. So the cure is the practice of yoga. Sadhana, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti. So here, there is no source of understanding the identity of the Father except the authority of the Mother. So, by studying the Vedas, the soul can be conceived, even though it is inconceivable. What's that? Acintyaḥ, inconceivable. Very difficult to understand, very difficult to perceive, very difficult to, you cannot hold it, you cannot capture it. But there is a certain way by understanding it through the Vedas. The soul is consciousness and conscious. That is the statement of the Vedas, and we just have to accept it like that. We don't have to extra endeavor how to figure it out, because it will not be possible to figure it out ourselves. We need to have a teacher. We need to have a guru. We need to have a spiritual master. And as Prabhupada says, the spiritual master, the sadhus, and the sastra. Guru, sadhu, and sastra. They all go on the same parallel line. It's like a railway track. For the train to reach the destination, if one of those track is deviated even 0.01 degree, Narendra Krishna Prabhu, he worked in via rail. Narendra Krishna Prabhu, Haribol, did you work in via rail or some kind of like? Did you? Huh? Yeah, the railway track has to be like, if it's because of temperature, sometimes there is some difference, but there is corrected also. There is some correction. So if we deviate somehow, not follow the process according to Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra, then it will be difficult for us to reach our destination. It will be very difficult. We'll find ourselves derailed. Derailed means, even in India is having the most sophisticated train system in the world. Well, sometimes, once in a while, there is some accidents, isn't it? Because of miscommunication, the two trains will collide with each other, or sometimes they will sabotage. Terrorists will do it. So we cannot concoct about what is the soul. We cannot speculate what is the soul. We cannot find or say our opinion. We cannot, as Prabhupada says, we cannot say, oh, maybe it is like this, or it could be like this. Oh, yes. Yeah, I think. We don't say that. Because if I say, I think, it could be, maybe, then that is my opinion. And what is my opinion? It is nothing compared to the Vedas. Because I'm still having these different faults. My senses are imperfect. I have a tendency to be illusion. I have a tendency to cheat others. And I have a tendency to commit mistakes. Mistakes, illusion, imperfect senses, and cheating propensity. So all of us, conditioned souls, are having these four faults. But the Vedas is considered to be infallible. Infallible. It is not written by a certain ordinary person. He's empowered. Vyasadhe. He's empowered. Shakchavesh avatar of the Supreme Lord to write the conclusion, the siddhanta, the tattva, the truth about the nature of the jiva, nature of the ispara, nature of prakriti, the nature of karma, and the nature of time. Kala and prakriti, nature. Nature of the nature. So, we just need to accept what the Vedas have told us. The soul doesn't change. The body is changing all the time. We spoke about this from our last meeting. And we're still going to change our body next life. Out of 8,400,000 species of life, we have different desires. And those desires will only be fulfilled when we give up this body. That's why we have to be careful what we desire. Especially in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the place where all your wishes becomes fulfilled. There's a place called Kamyavan. Or even Govardhan, when one goes in parikrama, even in Vrindavan. When one goes in Vrindavan and you have many, many things in your mind and you're wishing this and wishing that, if it's materially, Krishna may fulfill that. So we have to be careful. At any time. At any time. Especially when one is in Vrindavan. When we go on parikrama, and when we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra is like Kalpavriksha tree. Kalpavriksha tree means a tree that whatever you wish, fruit you want, you will receive. In the material world, when you see a banana tree, only bananas comes out. Or an apple tree, only apple. Or an orange tree, only orange. But a Kalpavriksha tree, especially in Vrindavan, all the trees in Vrindavan are Kalpavriksha trees. So we have to be careful. It's like, downstairs near the water where you wash your hands, there's a big tree there. So many people sit there, right? Devotees, or even those devotees, or let's say devotees. There are different kinds of devotees, of course. So if you sit there and while you're chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and you think of something, desire, material desire, that will be fulfilled because that is Kalpavriksha tree. So we must be very careful. If we're going to desire, might as well desire the highest. If you're going to desire something, and let's say only one desire, what will you think of? What kind of desire will that be? Okay, you don't have to tell me. Because you may have a different desire. We all have different desires and wishes and plans. But we should only think about Krishna. How to serve Krishna, how to serve His devotees. So in this way, when we leave our body, and we still keep thinking like that, that is the soul. Always thinking how to serve, how to do better, how to help others in Krishna consciousness, how to make my service increasing more and more, that it will be pleasurable for the Supreme Lord. That is the desire. That should be the desire. And because the Paramatma is within our heart, then He's able to understand, and also He'll be able to permit that. So the soul is unchangeable. Says here, the soul is unchangeable, inconceivable, and immutable. That is the meaning of immutable. Immutable means unchangeable. It is always remain as it is. That nature never changes. Fire, the nature of the fire is heat and light. That is immutable. That is unchangeable. It will never change. So similarly, the soul's nature, spiritually, in nature, is that it is unchangeable. Can never become equal to the infinite soul or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It says here, the soul is infinitesimal, being unchangeable. The Supreme Lord is infinite. There is no end also. There is no beginning, there is no middle, and there is no end. So this is being repeated again and again, and Lord Krishna again repeated it here. And I was reading that in Sanskrit, it is not allowed to do repetition. But because Prabhupada says to make the point get across, things sometimes have to be repeated again and again. It's like that verse, Harirnam, 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 Vaidai Kevalam, Kalonaste, Vanaste, 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 Gatir Anyata. 3 times repeated to make the point, to emphasize the point as being important. So the nature of the soul now is being repeated again and again to Arjuna. That you don't think about the nature of the body. You should not grieve for the body because the body is temporary. Our relationship with our family is temporary as well. Somehow we can help our family to make them Krishna conscious, to help each other. That's the best way we can do, because once we leave this body, who knows when we going to meet again. Once when the person died, the person is saying goodbye to everyone. The person will say, goodbye, I will not see you again. This is our last meeting, but we will see each other again in the spiritual world. There we will meet again. But in the material world, to meet another time, our parents, we will forget. We will not even know who is our parent, who is our child, who is our mother, who is my sister, who is my brother. Because that's it. How can I remember you? The Prabhupada says, well, in the spiritual world, there is another ISKCON. So we will meet each other again in the spiritual world with our Father, Sri Krishna. But in the material world, it's highly impossible. But sometimes there is this, phenomena where a person can be hypnotized. There is a regression. He can go back. There's some kind of hypnotism, very expert. The person can tell, oh, I was born over there. As a child, he can tell who is his father, who is his mother, but that is very rare. So, something that has to be repeated again and again for ourselves so that we'll be able to understand the subject matter. And this part of the Bhagavad Gita is like this. It's been repeated again, even from the previous 2 or 3 verses, and then again in the next few verses. Hare Krishna. So we stop here. Are there any question or comment? Rishabh, you have any question? Huh? Not now, okay. Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Where are material desires? Where are they coming from?
Material desires from our being in contact with the material energy. It says, what's that? Out of sight, out of mind. You ever heard of that before? Yeah? It's like Ajamil. When did he get the desire to enjoy? He was brought up as a Brahmana. He was only picking up flowers, ingredients for the puja of the deities, of the family deities, right? But then he saw a Sudra and Sudrani embracing. So our senses coming in contact with the material energy, that means modes of passion, ignorance, and goodness. And they're mixed, so many mixture of these 3, like 3 primary colors. What are they, Rishabh? Red, green, and blue. Is that correct?
No, yellow.
Yellow. Yellow, blue, and red. So you mix them up. 3 times 3 equals 9. Then 9 times 9 equals 81. Then 81 times 81 is 600 something. Right? So there are 8,400,000 species of life. That means, according to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, there are 8,400,000 different desires that one can have. And in order to fulfill that desire, you will accept one of those species of life to fulfill. There is a study that was done. A person can have 22,000 desires per day. I don't know how they did that. Sometimes they put apparatus here, they connect it to your brain or something, right? To your whatever. You've seen that? Maybe you've seen that? EEG? Electronic? Okay. 22,000 times. I hope I only have 10 desires every day. So if you like, you can check yourself also. In one day, you can have a piece of paper and a pen, and then you can write down. Okay, in the morning, this is my desire. In the after breakfast, this is my desire. Okay, before lunch, this is my desire.
That's not going to work because your desire to do that is going to change your desires.
Well, desires keep on changing continuously. This is kama, lust. The desire to enjoy, this is lust, materially.
So they're coming from material nature, not soul.
No. The nature is there, but having come in contact, the soul came in contact with the material energy and misidentifying the body as the self, then you think always again in the bodily concept. Then the desires materially increases all the time. That's why, as we mentioned, in the material world, there's so many advertisements. Even if you don't want it, it's just like by seeing again and again, and you will convince yourself, yeah, I think I should have this. I think I need this. Or you go to villages in Vrindavan, they don't have computer. They don't have many things. They probably have one buffalo or one cow to milk the whole day. So their desires is lesser than the one who is living in the metropolitan city. Huh? You go live in Mumbai, your desire must be increasing there also as much. And the billboards everywhere. While you're driving, you will see, oh, that looks cool. Yeah, I want to be cool. Yeah, it's like, Prabhupada says, smoking cigarette, cool pack, cool. Yeah, oh, that's cool. He's smoking a cool cigarette. I want to be cool also. See, the more we are bombarded and be attracted, devotees, they're less attracted. And gradually, it dies out. Because we practice bhakti. If we're not practicing bhakti, forget it. There'll be no difference between us and the materialist. Our desires could be 22,000 in one day. That's a lot. Unlimited desires. We're so fortunate. I know when Mataji, she was praying in front of the deity, I asked her, Mataji, what are you praying? My god sister. And she said, I'm praying to Radhesham to have taste for chanting the holy name. If our desires are like that, to have taste for chanting, to increase my love for Krishna, to to give as much as I can for the pleasure of the Lord and His devotees. You can have 22,000 desires like that. There's no problem. But if you have 22,000 desires opposite to that, Hare Krishna. That's why people get mad. They're always busy. Devotees are always so busy. But the materialists also are very busy. How to be artificially happy. And they're always frustrated. The more one wants to become happy materially, the more one suffers. The more, as soon as one starts to make a plan to be happy, that is also the beginning of his suffering. That is the unfortunate position. So it is our duty to tell them this. And if they can read Bhagavad Gita, then their life will be sublime. They'll understand the nature of the Supreme Lord. Anything else? Yes.
What to do? Like if we have some Krishna conscious desires, but we don't.
What was that again?
If we have Krishna conscious desires, but we don't have the determination to work for them.
If we have Krishna conscious desire, if we don't have determination, you need to associate with those devotees who are determined. You have to have that increase that desire to associate with those who have determinations. Yeah. There is, it's like if you are in a place where there is an infection, a viral infection, you just pass by there, you'll get infected also. Yeah. So that's why sadhu sangha is very important. Sadhu sangha. But then again, there are different levels of sadhus or Vaishnavas. There is a materialistic devotee as well. So at least look for a madhyam. Those who are more advanced than you. And the topmost devotee is very rare to have their association. It doesn't happen every day. But fortunately, we can associate with Prabhupada every day by reading his books, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. That's why it's very important. And if you cannot find, let's say you're living in a place where it's not available, this is the advantages of the internet. You can go to ISKCON Vrindavan Live TV. Then you're in Vrindavan automatically. Or Mayapur TV. You go to Mayapur, have darsana of Panchatattva, Sri Radha Madhava, Lord Nrsimhadev. And if it's Mangalartik time, don't be in your bed and click the TV. Oh, okay, it's Mangalartik time. Samsara Dava, and you're in the bed. Don't be like that. Get up also and do your Mangalartik at home. Okay? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki. Nitai Gaur Sitanan Pramanande. Hari Hari Bol. Ram Ram. Jai Sri Ram.